Detox's influences. Okay, so of course there is one main influence, but he doesn't. In the beginning of delivering the Nurah message, there was a kind of agreement made that I wouldn't mention him right away. He didn't want me to mention him right away. Said at one point I can mention him, but not yet. So I call him Master Nurah, just for the sake of some kind of title to bestow upon him. But when I was doing my internship here in the Midwest, there's a health food store that I worked at. And it was a doctor who's now Dr. Khalik Alim. He was Dr. Jose Said at the time. He wrote the book Medicine, very, very good book. And he was a very, very just passionate, very radical naturopath. And I kind of studied his passion for the science and kind of mimicked it in some sense. I worked at his store, so I had access to his library. And it was in that library, him and another very well-known Arthur Alvin Morrow. They both owned the store, so I worked there. And I got access to diet healing system written by Professor Arnold Arett, who was a German naturopath. He had a sanitarium that was in Switzerland, Austria area, and he was healing all kind of sickness, blindness, deafness, helping women produce children again.
Wow.
Everything you could imagine, he was healing just from having people to flush out their gut. So it was really him that made me start paying attention to the gut, because he did such a good job of illustrating that people were carrying around pounds of waste for years and years and years.
Wow.
So when I would stay at the store, I worked there, so he would let me literally just hang out. And so on my off days and times when the store would close, I would just come and stay and kind of raid his library and just study. And I was kind of developing the concepts at the time. Of course, Master Nurah was guiding me for the most part. And I would begin to put together the core teachings of the Nurah Way, the Nurah teachings now, as we have them. The first 3 axioms I got from Professor Arett. Literally. And then, so that would be my first major. He's literally my favorite naturopath. Professor or Dr. Bernard Jensen.
Okay.
He wrote a book called Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management. And he was saying the same thing. Of course, he was influenced by Professor Arett as well, because he was kind of like one of the founding fathers of holistic health in America. When you hear the names Bragg's, who did the Bragg's apple cider vinegar, when you hear Bernard Jensen, Jack Ghislaine, all of them mention this man, because he was kind of like the founding father at the time. Doing a lecture in America, fell and hit his head, and we never seen him again.
Wow.
Kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
What's also interesting is that he was kind of developing his concepts or teaching his concepts, because they were fully developed at the time when a lot of the lies that we're now contending with were developing. Metabolism lie, not myth, lie. Metabolism, protein, calorie counting, all of these things, as they were beginning to dictate what the medical schools were going to teach, as the FDA were developing the new food pyramids based off of these lies, he was attacking them at the base. So I think it would be a fair assessment to think that if he were to be allowed to live, that some of these lies would have been successful, and maybe these industries wouldn't be built today.
Wow.
Now that is a speculation,
Sure.
but I think it's a pretty good one. Because when you read this book and you read any of his writings, you come away with the fact that the whole standard American diet is suicide.
Oh, wow.
Completely. And so I get the passion for it from Professor Arett and others. So that would be my next, of course, Bernard Jensen. My very, very earliest influence, believe it or not, was a hip hop teacher, KRS-One, the teacher of hip hop. I became a vegetarian because of KRS-One. I haven't eaten meat now in almost 33 years because of KRS-One. That's a verse in one of his songs, My Philosophy, where he described eating meat as suicide. And so I give, all respect to the God MC, KRS-One, one of the founding father MCs, I should say, at least. Definitely the God of teaching. Hip hop didn't have a teacher before KRS-One the way that he did it. And so he's definitely one of my main influences. I also, he did another song on this album called Beef, on the Edutainment album, where he was talking a lot about health and, the dangers of meat and and this is before Oprah got attacked for mentioning beef. You remember that when she said something about Angus beef and they came out against her? He was saying it outright in the songs back then. And he mentioned the book How to Eat to Live in that song. And, of course, I saved my lunch money up, did my first couple of fasts so I can get the book. And I learned about metaphysics from KRS-One too. So he's definitely of influence. So there's Dr. Saeed, Professor Arnold Arrett, Bernard Jensen, KRS-One before all of them. And then, of course, the greats that we all know, Dr. Laila Africa, who wrote African Holistic Health, Nutricide. I had the pleasure of sitting on a panel next to him right before he passed. So I got a chance to meet him. Dick Gregory, I have photos of he and I, we met. He was in front of me in a line in front of a cash register in the store one time. So I got a chance to meet him. Dr. Sebi, have a great amount of respect for Dr. Sebi's work. There's not too many men that have stood up against a powerful government and withstood and said, yes, I cured these people. And now he's no longer with us today, but you have to respect the man of that kind of magnitude. And so these are a few of my influences.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Dr. Detox.
Thank you.